Common Interest.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's the Kid Common Interest here today with another video, and you already know what it is. It's Analysis Thursday, and today I'm going to be breaking down the track that I made on Tuesday. The title of the track is Acceleration. If you haven't seen that video already, go check it out. It's really dope. Let's get into the track. All right, so let's get into the first instrument your boy decided to add to the track, which are these pianos right here. I've been using a lot of pianos in my productions as of recently, and I just think they sound great. Check out the melody I got going. Beautiful. The melody was built from these top notes right here, and then I decided to add a chord progression right after, and I thought that was pretty cool, but I decided it needed a little more. So I shaped the sound a little bit with some EQ, and I wanted some movement happening in the pianos. And what I mean by movement, I mean pumping. So I added a compressor and sidechained that compressor to a silent kick on pad 16, which is doing a 4 on the floor, and it made it sound like this. That was a pretty cool effect, but when I did that, I just started to lose the predominance that those top notes once had. They became harder to hear, so I added in a Rhodes one-shot and just had it play those top notes that my other piano was playing, and it gave it back its fullness, and it sounds like this now. All right, so moving on to the second C now. Your boys added a lot of cool things, a lot of new instrumentation and melodies. Let's give it a listen. So I'm only going to touch on a few things that I got going on. Let's first start off with this tick-tock sound that you guys have heard. So I'm going to solo it and open up the piano roll. For some reason, I think pianos and clock sounds go well with each other, and I decided to add the clock sound in for that reason. So if you want this tick-tock sound, first you're going to need a tick or a tock. In this case, I have a tick. It sounds like this by itself. And when you're drawing in your notes, make sure that the velocity of every other note is lower than the one that came before it to give it that tick-tock sound. Here's how it sounds. And to add even more variation to the sound, you can mess around with the notes that the tick or the tock is hitting, and it makes it sound even more like a clock. I even took it a step further and copied all the notes and added it an octave higher, and it gave it more body and fullness. I also decided to EQ it, add some high end, and I took it even further and added a low pass filter to it, and here's how that sounds. All right, so some other cool things to take note of that I got going on in the second pattern are these two basses. One's a sub bass and one's a mid bass. Let's take a listen. So the sub bass, I believe, is a massive preset, and it's a sine square. That's my preset for it. Nothing too special. And my mid bass is a one-shot sample that I have playing this melody right here. Check out the piano roll for it. I love the melody. I also added a low pass filter to it to filter out some of the higher frequencies. And my reasoning for that, when I'm building a song like this, I don't want to throw everything at you all at once, especially the bass. It's only the second 8 bars. So 16 bars, I don't want to give you all the bass yet. So I filtered it out, and I bring the mid bass all the way in the next 8 bars. So when I'm building a song like this, it's only 32 bars for the intro. I slowly start to reveal certain instruments to you until we get to the drop, and then it gets crazy. All right, making our way over to the next 8 bars. I just want to let you guys listen to a couple of the instruments that I have going on. They're really important because they make their way into the drop of the song. So take a listen. So let's first start off with this vocal chop that I have right here. It's a vocal chop with reverb and a compressor on it, and the compressor is being sidechained to that same silent kick on pad 16 to give it that pumping sound that you hear. I also have this video game blip sound with a delay and EQ on it. You'll hear that in the drop as well. I use that a lot, as well as the vocal chop, and the sound right beside it is the same sound in reverse. And group B, I got drums happening. Who hasn't heard any cool drums before? And in group C, I have some cool transitioning effects. Let's hear it all at once. All right, so let's talk about the last 8 bars before the drop comes in. The last 8 bars are really about building tension for me, and I'm doing this a couple of ways. The first way is with this high pass filter right here. I have it on group A and also have it on group C. And I am automating it so that I'm sweeping off all the lows and just leaving the highs. Another way that I'm building tension is with these 2 risers right here that sweep up. That's what risers do. And I also have this snare right here that progressively gets faster towards the end of the pattern. And right at the very end, I cut off everything, including the drums and all the other instruments. Here's how it sounds. Then right after that, I smack you with the heavy bass. You know, you want to take away the bass and the build up and then slap them in the face with the bass and the drop. It's like, oh, where'd the bass go? Oh, there it goes. All right, so the moment we've all been waiting for, the drop. Your boy's got a lot of sick things happening in the drop, a lot of complex things going on, and I just want to touch on the most important things, the things that I spent the most time on, such as these super saws right here. What are super saws? Just take a listen. Just had it looped right there. So, super saws, these huge, lush chord sounds that you hear. They're comprised of saw waveforms, and those are the basis for creating super saw sound. So I have 2 super saws and 1 square wave just to be different. Nothing too complex. They're literally just saw waveforms. Check it out. And the last one is a sine or a square, like I said. And the reason I have 3 is because layers are important for creating that huge sound, and all 3 of those are playing the same chord progression. Check it out. Another thing, to get that wobble sound that you hear, that the sound is making, a lot of people use a low pass filter and automate the low pass filter to give it the wobble sound, but I took a different approach. I actually used a limiter and sidechained that limiter to a kick that is turned all the way down so you only hear the wobble effect. And that's what's giving it the pumping sound or wobble sound, as you would say. And literally, every time the kick hits, the sound is being ducked. Kick, 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 kick. Wobble, 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 wobble. Duck, 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 duck. Pump, 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 pump. That's what's giving it that cool pumping effect. And it works for me, you know? It's really simple. I've always wanted to achieve that pumping sound without any complex techniques. And literally, all I had to do was sidechain it to a kick. Some important notes to take when you're doing this. Your release time is very important for the pumping effect. If you want your pumping to happen really fast and your sound to come back up immediately, your limiter has to let go of the sound almost immediately. And I have the limiter on the lowest release time possible. All right, so let's talk about the next important instrument I decided to add to the drop, which are these toms. The toms and the super saws are pretty much the star players of this track, in my opinion. And the toms are doing drum fills throughout the track. Take a listen. All right, so I'm about to solo the toms and give you some tips on how to do drum fills and some things that you might want to do when you start drawing in your drum fills. The best tip I got for you when drawing in your drum fills: stack them an octave above one another. I'm going to let you hear it without the octave layer and with the octave layer. Check it out. Now here's with the octave layer. Much more full. It sounds way better. Stack the layers. Shout out to Aces to Aces.
Stack the layers.
All right, so let's talk about the next and last important element that I added to the drop, which are these digital sine sounds that you hear. They made an appearance in the beginning of the track. As you may recall, they had delay on it, and I brought them back in the drop. Here's how they sound. I just took the delay off. So if you want to achieve this sound, all you got to do is change your grid value to 30-second note triplets and draw your notes in really close to each other, and it gives it that video gamey, glitchy sound that you hear when you're playing like Game Boy or something like that. All right, guys, that's about it for this analysis. If you guys enjoyed the song, first off, make sure you go check it out down in the description below. It's on Spotify, iTunes, and all streaming services. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave it a like down below, subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos to come in the future. Peace.